Connecting minds across the globe. Welcome to Easy Insights Radio.
If you want to instantly bond with someone from like a completely different cultural background, you really shouldn't start by talking about your deepest moral values.
Like, definitely not.
Yeah, and you do not start by unpacking the complex geopolitical history of your respective nations. Instead, you just do something incredibly mundane. You complain about being tired.
It is the ultimate icebreaker, really.
It really is. Today, we are taking a scalpel to this single everyday conversation between a British worker and an American university student. And we're doing this to reveal the hidden neurological cheat codes of human connection.
Oh, I love that phrasing. Cheat codes.
Right. So, welcome to the deep dive. We are looking at a transcript of a chat between two people. We've got John, who is juggling university and a job over in the United States.
A very busy guy.
Exactly. And then we have Alex, who is a full-time worker in England. And on the surface, it's just a completely natural, friendly conversation.
Yeah, it reads very casually.
But the mechanics operating beneath the surface of their words, they are absolutely fascinating.
Fascinating is almost an understatement, honestly. If you just skim this transcript, you see two people making what looks like standard disposable small talk.
Just the weather, right?
Yeah, exactly. They discuss the weather, they talk about American football, they mention liking food. But when you apply a sociolinguistic lens to the actual structure of their exchange, it's wild.
How so?
Well, you realize you are looking at a highly sophisticated framework. They are actively building a psychological bridge across an ocean. And they're doing it using some of the most foundational tools of human communication.
Okay, but let me challenge that premise right out of the gate here. We are calling this a sophisticated framework, but the actual dialogue we're looking at is just remarkably simple.
It is very simple, yeah.
Like, John just says he's doing great, but he's a little tired because he's been working all day. And Alex responds by saying, me too. Working all day long.
Right.
It feels almost too basic to analyze, you know? Isn't this just the default mindless setting for modern human interaction?
I mean, you would think so.
We're all tired, we all work. What is actually sophisticated about pointing that out?
So the sophistication lies in the utility of the admission, not the complexity of the vocabulary.
Yeah.
Anthropologists and linguists, they actually refer to this specific kind of opening exchange as phatic communion.
Phatic communion. Okay, I like that term.
Yeah, and the primary function of this language is not to convey new, groundbreaking information to the other person. The function is entirely social.
So it's just about setting the vibe.
Exactly. It's a mechanism for establishing an atmosphere of non-hostility. Think about the evolutionary context of two strangers meeting. There's an inherent baseline tension.
Oh, sure. Are you a threat? Right.
Right, exactly. So by immediately admitting to being physically tired, John is actively signaling vulnerability. He is taking off that heavy, impenetrable armor of the perfect, always energetic professional.
And he's showing a soft underbelly.
Precisely.
I see. So it is not about the work itself, really. It's a tactical lowering of defenses. It kind of reminds me of a submarine sending out a sonar ping in dark water.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, you throw out a mild complaint, like, being exhausted, and you just wait for the other person's ping to come back.
Right, you're testing the water.
Exactly. And when Alex says, me too, she's returning the ping. She's confirming that they are experiencing the exact same reality. And suddenly, in a matter of seconds, you have established a baseline of trust.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it. The sonar ping basically verifies the environment is safe.
Mm-hmm.
And notice the immediate neurological paradox that Alex introduces, like a second after they commiserate about this shared fatigue.
Wait, what paradox?
She tells John, but sitting down to chat with you makes me feel energized.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This exposes a really profound reality about how human beings process energy. Physical depletion and social energy are managed by entirely different systems in the brain.
So you can be exhausted, but still get a boost from talking.
Exactly. You could be physically drained to the point of exhaustion from the sheer labor of the day, yet still experience a massive restorative dopamine release, simply from the act of being seen, understood, and validated by another human being.
That distinction is crucial. The conversation itself acts as a renewable energy source, completely independent of their physical stamina.
Yeah, it's a great little psychological boost.
But they do not linger on the exhaustion, which I find interesting. Having established that they are both tired, they pivot almost aggressively to the weather.
Yes, the classic weather pivot.
John notes that the weather where he is happens to be absolutely great. Sunny, not too cold. Alex immediately agrees, noting that it is beautiful in England too, perfect for a walk, even though both of them are currently trapped indoors working.
A shared tragedy, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I have to push back here again. Isn't talking about the weather the ultimate conversational cop-out?
It definitely gets a bad rap, yeah.
It feels like the emergency ripcord you pull when you literally have nothing interesting left to say to someone.
It definitely carries that reputation. But sociolinguistically, discussing the weather is a highly tactical move, especially in cross-cultural communication.
Tactical how?
Well, it is not a cop-out. It's an environmental calibration. When you're speaking with someone in a completely different geographical and cultural context, the weather serves as a safe, neutral, third-party entity.
Because nobody can control it.
Exactly. It's an external force that affects both of you, yet neither of you controls it. So by agreeing that it's sunny, or by mutually complaining about being stuck indoors, John and Alex are actively aligning their wavelengths.
Finding that common ground.
Yeah, they are finding a universally shared experience where agreement is virtually guaranteed.
Okay, let's unpack that because it makes a lot of sense. You don't just jump straight into the heavy lifting of debating cultural values or geopolitical differences.
That would be exhausting.
Yeah, you have to warm up the conversational muscles first. You complain a little bit about the walls keeping you inside, you praise the sunshine outside, and you create a temporary alliance against the indoors.
Yes, an alliance. I love that.
It acts as a structural foundation. I mean, if you can agree on the weather, you can probably agree on other things.
Precisely the point. In a world where cultural differences can sometimes feel like stepping onto a minefield of potential misunderstandings, you desperately need to establish that you share the same basic human constraints.
Right, and for them, those constraints are work and wanting to be outside.
Exactly. In this specific dialogue, those constraints are the fatigue from labor and the biological desire to be out in the sunshine. Once that baseline of shared humanity is locked in, the subsequent cultural differences they explore become interesting rather than intimidating.
Because the foundation of trust has already been poured.
Yes, they're safe to explore now.
Which brings us to the next phase of their conversation, where the actual cultural divergence finally makes an appearance.
Right, the sports discussion.
Having secured that foundation of trust, Alex asks John what he likes to do when he isn't studying or working. She specifically asks about his favorite sport. And John, completely enthusiastically, reveals that his absolute favorite sport is American football.
And he mentions that he actually used to play it himself.
Yeah, he does.
And pay close attention to how John describes the sport here. He doesn't just name drop it and move on. He actually qualifies why he loves it.
Right, he goes into the reason.
Yeah, he emphasizes that he loves the strategy and the team spirit. And he also mentions the immense amount of hard work that the game demands.
Now, Alex steps in, representing a very British perspective. She responds to this revelation by saying, "Wow, American football, that is intense."
Which is such a fair reaction.
It really is. She is incredibly candid, openly admitting that she doesn't know the rules, she doesn't understand the scoring system, but she notes that it looks like a lot of fun to watch.
She's engaging with his enthusiasm even if she doesn't know the game.
Exactly. This exchange feels like a perfect microcosm of how sports function as cultural ambassadors. But I am hung up on the stereotype of the game itself.
Oh, the violent aspect.
Yeah. Globally, American football is heavily stereotyped as pure, unadulterated physical violence. It's just giant armored people crashing into each other at high speeds.
That is definitely the international perception.
But John completely bypasses the physicality. He leads with strategy and team spirit. Does his description challenge the way we typically process the cultural export of that sport?
It absolutely shatters the superficial stereotype.
Yeah.
And I think it adds a profound layer of depth to how John views his own cultural identity. By deliberately highlighting the strategy of the game, John is actively elevating American football from mere physical combat into a high-stakes mental chess match.
Wow, mental chess. That's a great way to put it.
And by emphasizing team spirit, he's tapping into a communal, deeply human value that totally transcends the arcane, specific rules of the gridiron.
Because he knows Alex won't understand the jargon.
Exactly. He recognizes that Alex might not know what a first down is or how a line of scrimmage works. So he doesn't bore her with technicalities. He gives her an emotional bridge to understand his passion.
He translates the technical joy into an emotional resonance. He says to her, "It takes a lot of hard work, but the feeling of playing with the team is amazing."
It's so relatable.
That is brilliant because Everyone, regardless of whether they grew up in London or Ohio, inherently understands the value of hard work
Yeah.
and the absolute euphoria of belonging to a cohesive team.
Right. It's a universal feeling.
He is converting a culturally specific activity into a universal human emotion.
And Alex's reaction is just as vital to the success of this exchange. Even without knowing the technical mechanics of a touchdown, she validates the spectacle and the emotional weight of what John is communicating.
She doesn't need to know the rules to see that he loves it.
Right. She recognizes the intensity of his passion. This highlights a crucial, incredibly underrated skill in global communication. It's the ability to actively appreciate the passion someone has for a cultural touchstone without needing to master the touchstone yourself.
So you don't have to be an expert to engage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You do not need to understand the rules of American football to validate John's joy in playing it.
It is the conversational equivalent of enjoying a complex meal at a restaurant without needing to step into the kitchen and demand the exact recipe from the chef.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
You don't need the recipe, you just need to appreciate that the food tastes good. And speaking of food, that is exactly where their conversational momentum carries them next.
Naturally.
Moving from the intense, hard-working world of American sports, Alex asks John what else keeps him going, and John does not hesitate for a microsecond.
He knows exactly what he wants.
He says, food. Literally just like that. I need good food because I just love the taste of a great meal. Eating good food makes me happy.
To which Alex immediately and enthusiastically replies, food is life.
Yes.
This is a masterstroke of conversational pacing. They venture into a culturally specific, potentially alienating topic with the football discussion, and then they immediately retreat back to the most fundamental, baseline, universal human unifier in existence. Gustatory pleasure.
It's the joy of eating.
The biological need to eat transformed into the psychological joy of a good meal.
There is zero pretension in that exchange. Just the raw, honest admission that a good meal provides happiness. But right after this, we stumble into a detail that I think is wildly revealing about human psychology.
Oh, regarding how we manage the modern world.
Exactly. Alex asks what else John does in his free time to relax. John mentions that he likes to read, and he loves listening to English music. Naturally, Alex asks him what his favorite song is.
And his answer is so interesting.
It really is, because John doesn't do what most people do.
Yeah.
He doesn't name a specific band like the Beatles. He doesn't name a genre like indie rock or pop.
No, he doesn't.
Instead, he names a highly specific quality of music. He says, I love songs where the lyrics and the voice are really clear and beautiful.
This is where we need to look at the invisible machinery of cognitive load. We have to recall the context we established at the very beginning of this deep dive.
About John's busy life.
Yes, John is living an intense dual life. He is balancing the rigorous demands of university studies alongside the responsibilities of a job.
Which is a lot for anybody.
It is a lot. His brain is in a constant state of processing complex, likely stressful, and highly nuanced academic or professional data. His mental bandwidth is entirely saturated by the time he gets home.
His cognitive load is completely maxed out. So when he finally has a moment to relax, he is actively avoiding anything chaotic.
Exactly. He wants the opposite of chaos.
He doesn't want abstract, dissonant, heavily layered, or complicated audio processing. He specifically craves clarity. He wants clear and beautiful.
It's a need, really.
To me, craving clear music after a grueling day of academic and professional mental gymnastics makes perfect sense. Think about it like drinking a glass of ice-cold, hyper-filtered water after spending the entire day in a noisy, messy, chaotic environment.
Ah, yes.
You don't want a complex, heavy smoothie. You want absolute, refreshing simplicity.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. Neurologically, when our brains are depleted, they seek out easily recognizable patterns. They want high predictability as a form of active rest.
Active rest, I like that.
Yeah, so when John specifies that he needs the lyrics and the voice to be clear, he is expressing a profound biological desire for cognitive ease. He wants to experience the emotional catharsis of the music without his brain having to expend precious, limited calories.
Trying to decipher muddled lyrics or a chaotic melody.
Exactly. And Alex tracks this logic perfectly. She validates his preference by responding, a good voice can really make you feel relaxed.
I want to pause here and look at our own daily habits, because this dynamic is playing out in our living rooms every single night.
Well, 100%.
I mean, think about your own media diet. When you get to the end of a truly exhausting, brain-draining Thursday, what do you actually reach for? Do you queue up a dense, experimental, 3-hour foreign film that requires you to read fast-paced subtitles and piece together a non-linear plot?
Probably not.
No. Or do you put on a familiar, breezy sitcom you have already seen 5 times, or a playlist of simple acoustic songs? We constantly seek out clarity and simplicity in our leisure time, specifically to counterbalance the overwhelming complexity and demand of our daily lives.
You do?
John's musical preference is a survival mechanism for a tired brain.
Furthermore, there is a distinctly linguistic advantage here, which is highly relevant in a cross-cultural dialogue.
What do you mean?
Well, clear lyrics and a beautiful, unmuddled voice are universally appealing because they drastically lower the barrier to entry. They strip away heavy regional accents, impenetrable local slang, and complex metaphors.
So it's just much easier to understand for a non-native speaker.
Exactly. It offers a much purer transmission of raw emotion. This craving that John has for peace, clarity, and simplicity serves as an incredible, entirely organic segue into what is arguably the most fascinating philosophical segment of their entire dialogue.
Absolutely. Because this desire for clear, beautiful English music naturally pivots into a discussion about the concept of England itself.
Right.
John tells Alex, "I really like England." And when she naturally asks him why, John explains that he perceives the country as very peaceful, and he describes the lifestyle there as comfortable.
This is the exact moment the transcript elevates from a casual, friendly chat into profound sociolinguistic territory.
It really shifts gears.
It does. And it happens because Alex asks a remarkably simple yet highly disruptive question. She says, what does comfortable mean exactly?
I have to say, this is my favorite moment in the entire source material. It forces a complete intentional breakdown of language. Most people would just brush past that word.
Yeah, they just nod and agree.
But when forced to explain it, John doesn't just spit out a sterile dictionary definition. He gives Alex a highly specific, deeply visceral explanation. He tells her, comfortable means making you feel relaxed and safe, like sitting in a very soft chair or living in a place that makes you feel no stress.
The pedagogical brilliance of this moment is just staggering. When an individual is forced to define a common everyday word for someone else, especially someone from a different culture, they cannot help but reveal their own deepest subconscious values.
Because they have to use their own mental imagery to explain it.
Precisely. Notice how John constructs his definition of comfort. He builds it in 2 distinct layers.
Okay, what's the first layer?
First, he provides the physical embodiment, the tactile sensation of the very soft chair. But then he immediately grounds it in the psychological realm, feeling relaxed, feeling safe, and crucially feeling no stress.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, though, because I see a massive contradiction.
Oh, really? Let's hear it.
Is John romanticizing the reality of England? I mean, think about the very beginning of this transcript. Alex literally told him in her first few breaths that she is working all day long. She is stuck indoors.
That's true. She did say that.
That does not sound like a magical kingdom of soft chairs and zero stress. Does John's definition of England actually reveal less about the geographical reality of the UK and far more about the diagnostic shadow of his own life?
I see where you're going.
Like, is he just outlining exactly what he's craving as a stressed-out, overworked student in the U.S.?
That is a razor-sharp observation,
Sure.
and it is almost certainly what is happening. He is engaging in psychological projection.
Projection, exactly.
He is exhausted. He is juggling the dual demands of school and a job. His daily environment is likely characterized by high pressure, tight deadlines, and constant stress.
It's the modern hustle.
Right. Therefore, when his mind attempts to conjure an idealized faraway place, in this case England, he constructs that utopia using the exact qualities his current reality lacks: deep peace, absolute safety, and a total blissful absence of stress.
So his vision of England is just an escape hatch.
Yes. His definition of comfortable is not a travel brochure for England. It is a clinical diagnosis of his own exhaustion.
That is profound. We define our ultimate desires by the precise shape of the things we are currently missing. For John, the pinnacle of comfort has nothing to do with extravagant wealth, luxury cars, or massive mansions.
No, it's much simpler than that.
It is simply the cessation of pressure. It is the deep, uninterrupted sigh at the end of a long day.
And look at how Alex handles this projection. She doesn't aggressively correct him or shatter his illusion.
She doesn't say, actually, England is super stressful.
No, she graciously accepts his romanticized view. She says, yes, parts of England are very comfortable and quiet.
Oh, that is so subtle.
It is. She validates his emotional perception while gently, almost imperceptibly, adding the necessary nuance that it is only parts of England that fit this description. She subtly acknowledges the reality of her own hectic, working life without invalidating his dream.
It is an incredibly empathetic way to navigate a cultural misconception. So we have this beautifully grounded, visceral desire for peace, quiet, and a soft chair.
The need for rest.
But then the conversation takes an immense thematic turn. It evolves from the pursuit of absolute rest into the exact opposite, the highly ambitious pursuit of future goals.
It's quite a leap.
Alex asks John a massive question. She says, "Do you have a dream for the future?"
And John's response introduces another incredibly complex word that requires active deconstruction. He tells Alex, "My dream is to aspire to do something big independently."
And just like before, Alex literally halts the conversation. She says, "Wait, John, hold on a second. What does aspire mean? That's a new word for me."
Here again, we witness the absolute power of conversational confidence.
Right. Most people would just pretend they knew what it meant.
Exactly. Instead of feeling embarrassed about not knowing a word or politely glossing over it to save face, which is what the vast majority of people do in cross-cultural chats, Alex stops the forward momentum to demand clarity.
It's so refreshing.
This is the hallmark of a deeply active, engaged listener. She prioritizes understanding over the appearance of fluency. And in response, John's definition of aspire is remarkably grounded.
He breaks it down perfectly. He says to aspire means to have a strong hope or a big goal to achieve something in the future. It's like having a dream and working hard to reach it.
It's a great definition.
And he doesn't leave it in the clouds. He specifically attaches it to concrete actions, like wanting to build his own skills and find his own unique way to success.
And this is critical because the word aspire is inherently abstract. If we look at its etymology, it stems from the Latin aspirare, which literally translates to breathing upon or panting after something.
Oh, wow. Panting after something.
Yeah, it is a word rooted in movement, desire, and chasing the intangible. But John takes this airy, nebulous concept and anchors it firmly into pragmatic, physical reality.
Acquiring tangible skills and achieving functional independence.
Exactly.
But let's look at the friction here, because this is what I find so compelling about John as a subject in this transcript. Think about the stark contrast in his character that these last two exchanges reveal.
The contrast between comfort and aspiration.
Yeah. Literally 2 minutes ago, he was painting a picture of his ideal state being the soft chair and the no-stress environment of a comfortable life. He wanted absolute stillness.
True.
But now, in the very next breath, he is declaring that he is deeply, passionately driven to do something big and work incredibly hard to achieve independence. How do we reconcile the desire for absolute, motionless rest with the desire for immense, exhausting effort?
On the surface, it appears to be a direct contradiction. It seems like a psychological paradox to crave both the soft chair and the hard climb simultaneously.
It does seem contradictory, but I actually see them as completely dependent on one another.
Oh, how so?
I look at it like the mechanics of a slingshot. You absolutely need the safe, stable, unmoving grounding, the comfort, the soft chair, the absence of ambient stress, to act as the anchor point.
Okay, I follow.
You pull the elastic tension back from that safe, grounded point so that you can violently launch yourself into something ambitious, terrifying, and uncertain, which is the aspiration.
That makes perfect sense.
You cannot sustainably aspire to do massive things in the world if you do not have a foundational baseline of comfort and safety to return to when you are depleted.
That is an excellent way to conceptualize it. Aspiration without foundation of comfort inevitably leads to catastrophic burnout.
Right. You just snap.
Conversely, comfort without the forward momentum of aspiration leads to psychological stagnation. John is not contradicting himself. He is articulating a perfectly balanced, highly mature psychological state.
He needs both to function.
He desperately wants the peace necessary to recover his bandwidth. Precisely so, he has the immense energy required to build his skills and forge his own independent path.
And Alex's reaction to this grand ambition is incredibly validating. She doesn't just say cool and move on. She calls aspire a beautiful word, and she tells him that it is an amazing dream.
It's incredibly supportive.
She closes the thought by saying, "I really hope you achieve it."
Ending a casual conversation on the topic of future aspirations is a remarkably powerful social mechanism. It instantly elevates an everyday chat from disposable small talk into a highly memorable, deeply encouraging interaction.
It just completely changes the tone of the relationship.
If you trace the emotional arc of these two individuals, the journey is astounding. They started in the trenches, bonding over the shared mundane fatigue of the daily grind.
They established a baseline sonar ping of shared reality.
Exactly. But they refused to stagnate there. They navigated their cultural differences regarding sports. They found a universal joy in food. They explored the cognitive necessity of clear media.
They unpack their deep philosophies on comfort and projection.
And finally, they lifted each other up by defining and validating their biggest life dreams.
They leave the interaction feeling genuinely inspired. And honestly, as someone just analyzing the transcript, you leave feeling inspired too. It is a masterfully executed trajectory of human connection.
It serves as definitive proof that you do not need complex diplomatic jargon to bridge a divide. You do not need absolute, flawless fluency in another culture's nuances.
Just a willingness to try.
Yes, taking the time to clearly, patiently explain what simple words mean to you, physically, emotionally, and practically, is the most effective way to bridge any cultural or geographical gap.
So as we wrap up our analysis of John and Alex, we want to leave you with a final, lingering challenge based on everything we've just unpacked.
A little homework for the listener.
Exactly. We have watched John masterfully break down the word comfortable into the tangible image of a soft chair and a physical feeling of zero stress. We watched him deconstruct the abstract concept of aspire into the concrete actions of building skills and finding a path.
Right.
I want you to take a moment today and think about a common, highly abstract word that you use constantly. Think about a word like success, or love, or happiness, or loyalty.
These are words we throw around in conversation every single day, operating under the dangerous assumption that everyone else shares our exact, unspoken definition of them.
Exactly. But imagine you were sitting down with someone from a completely different culture, or even a different planet, someone who had never encountered your chosen word before.
That's a great thought experiment.
If they stopped the conversation just like Alex did and asked, wait, what does that mean exactly? How would you define it? You are not allowed to use a sterile dictionary definition.
Do synonyms allowed?
Right. What highly specific everyday image, what tactile physical sensation, or what concrete undeniable action would you use to translate that abstract concept into their reality?
It is a phenomenal exercise because it forces you to bypass the cliche and figure out what it is you actually fundamentally value.
It strips away all the noise. Try it out today. Take your biggest, heaviest words and break them down into their simplest, most beautiful, most actionable parts. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the mechanics of connection. Keep questioning the words you use, keep finding new ways to connect, and we will catch you next time.